Felicitations! This is me, Felicia Day, and this is my podcast. Welcome to everyone who is listening. Your ears are very welcome here. I am really happy to be home. I have, in the last 2 weeks, traveled, I think I've flown, 8 times. Whew, guys, it's not good for the skin. It's the reverse of going to a spa. I'm like a desiccated corpse. It's like somebody put a blow dryer on my face and just dried it out for a week or so. It is bad. I used one of those magnifying mirrors in the hotel room, which you should never do when you've had 2 hours sleep. You don't want to see that. I looked like a drow or something. You know, in Skyrim, you go into the thing and suddenly something would pop up out of a grave. That's exactly what my skin looks like. So thank you to anybody who I met at a convention and who didn't comment on my haggard visage. It was a fun 2 weeks, though. Can I just say that? So 2 weeks ago, what did I do? I got on a plane to go to Birmingham, England, which was, it was quite the jaunt, y'all. It was definitely, I left on Thursday, and I came back very early on Monday, and I didn't really know where Birmingham, England was, except I knew it was in England. So I left on like a 4 p.m., which is a little early, but actually it's okay because you land and then you have the whole next day. So I landed at like 8:30 a.m. and I had the whole day before I had to be in Birmingham, England at that night. So what I did, I went crazy. So I went into downtown London and I saw as much as possible between the hours of 10 and 5 as I could possibly see. And all the while, I'm dragging a suitcase across cobblestones often, and I'm wondering why I'm getting like carpal tunnel and like problems with my shoulder. That part was annoying. I could have, but then in retrospect, somebody told me, well, you could have just checked the luggage at like Paddington Station or whatever, and you just gone back and gotten it. And I was like, ooh. Clearly, I am an American who just gets in my car and drives everywhere. I don't actually understand accommodating people with their schedules, etc., etc. So anyway, I did use it as an opportunity to really have a good time in downtown London. And I did a couple bucket list items, small bucket list, not like, oh, I need to, accomplish this in my life. It was my London, I need to accomplish this in London in my life. And so I went straight for one of the places that we couldn't eat when I took the baby to London last year. Remember all that? Gosh, you guys have been with me on an adventure of a lot of emotional tumult. Anyway, so I went to this place that I really wanted to go to last year, but we couldn't stay because there was no room. We had gone there too late. It was too hip. It had just opened, and there was nothing there the baby could eat. Anyway, it's called 26 Grains, and it's in Neal's Yard in London, which is this awesome little, I don't know, it's just one of the most magical little places because you walk in this little hallway and then suddenly you're in this sort of you're in like a little square, a tiny little square with like shops and stuff. It's like hidden, and it's by Neal's cheese place, which is like the best cheese I've ever had in my life. So everything is awesome, and this place is specifically a porridge shop. Yes, that's right. It's a gourmet hipster porridge shop, and I know that sounds crazy and hipster, but it's, oh my gosh, you guys, it was so good. I'm clicking on the menu to describe some of the things on here. It is so yummy. I had rhubarb, cardamom, homemade yogurt, and almond oatmeal. And it was made with almond milk oats. So like it's so rich and yummy. And it was cardamom, honey, Greek yogurt. And I had not eaten in like 14 hours. I got literally, I took the express train into London from Heathrow. That's so easy. By the way, if you can afford it, just buy the business class thing because you're just sitting in a lovely seat and it doesn't even feel like any time at all. Then I hopped on the tube, went to Seven Dials, which is near Covent Garden and one of the coolest places in London in my very small experience. Okay, I understand. I'm just a tourist. If I was an insider, which I'd love to be, I would know a lot cooler places. But anyway, for the casual person, this is a great area. Also, they have an amazing board game shop called, let me look it up. The Orc's Nest. That's it, the Orc's Nest. And it's so cute. It's tiny, but has everything. And I didn't go in because I didn't have enough room in my suitcase to actually buy a board game. And then I was like, what are you doing? Going in to see if somebody recognizes you? Stop it. Also, just stop. You don't need any board games. Also, they had dice and I should have just gone in. Anyway, so that whole area is one of my favorite in London. There's a, okay, let me finish my 26 grains story. So this was incredible. I got the porridge, but I also got on toast a delicious savory mushroom salsa verde and egg toast. It was so good, y'all. I would eat this place once a week at least if it was in my house. I mean, if it was in my house, I would be cooking it, so that would be kind of a drag. That's why going across the globe is what you do when you want oatmeal. Anyway, highly recommend it. Go there. After that, I went to 2 jewelry shops that I love, Tattie Devine and Les Nereides. I said that horribly, didn't I, French people? I'm so sorry. It's 2... I always get like a small thing at each place. I got a little pin at Tattie Devine that was a little bug. And I also got a little set of earrings with kittens on them at Les Nereides. Is that how you spell it? I don't know. I'm sorry. And then I went to Covent Garden and I went to the Moomin shop because Calliope, my baby, loves Moomin and Moomin Troll. And you really can't get that stuff here. I guess because it's, Nordic and stuff. She loves Little My, actually, because Little My is this little tiny character and she is just a little asshole. Like, for real, she's like very like negative and playing tricks on everybody. And that's kind of not negative, but just like mischievous and kind of like, you're not going to make me do that, which is basically my child. Oh, it's going to be a hard teenage years with her. So I got a bunch of stuff at the Moomin place there. And, there was another place on the very bottom floor that I went, but I can't remember the name of it, but they had really cute children's dishes, something in Dash, I think. Anyway, Joss and Dash. And then I went to Cath Kitson, which I know is like total low-hanging fruit, y'all. UK people are just like, ugh, she went to Walmart. But I loved it. Okay, this is what... So, well, I'll get there. Anyway, so I went everywhere there. I also went to Selfridges, which is the best. And I bought a jumpsuit, which, boy, oh boy, I've been resistant to the jumpsuit trend. But this is black and linen, and it had a really nice kind of like, don't look at me, I'm just, a shirt and a pants combined. Not like, look at me, I'm a jumpsuit, right? Yeah, ladies will understand what I'm talking about. Jumpsuits are problematic, all right? They make you look a little short-waisted. They are definitely not flattering in the butt because they don't have pockets. Pockets are like the camouflage for the humps, all right? But I did like this, and I forced myself to buy it because I'm like, well, you're over here, right? And then I went to Selfridges and shared a hot dog with my friend who landed exactly for 1 hour before she went off to Bristol. And we were like, why is it so much more fun to meet your friends not in your own city? Isn't that weird, y'all? Like, whenever I'm at a convention, it is an excuse to socialize with people who live down the street from me and I don't see when we're in the same town. I don't understand what that is. It just makes it more special. Like, we're free. We're free to be whoever we want to be, not just the people who are anchored in our houses with our children. I love my child. I love being a mom. So, it was a busy, busy day. And I just kept walking and walking and walking. And finally, I'm just like saddled with bags. And then I was driven to Birmingham. Because I guess it's better to drive to Birmingham than fly. It's like cheaper and faster. Anyway, it was a 3-hour car ride because we left at 5 p.m. And so Los Angeles isn't that much different from UK in that respect. But I got to Birmingham, England for MCM London, which was super fun. The actual show. Birmingham, England was cool, I bet, because I wasn't in Birmingham. I was at a casino outside of Birmingham, which was near the convention center. And I don't mind that, y'all. I really don't, except that there was like a KFC and a TGI Fridays. And I just kept wanting to apologize to Europe and the UK for us importing our worst stuff to you guys. Like, we have great stuff, the US. Like, we have great fried chicken. We have great tacos. You guys don't know good tacos. I promise you. You don't. A friend of mine who's a comics writer took me one time to a taco place, a brand new taco place, what was quote unquote amazing. I almost gagged. It was not a good taco. It was not authentic, or not to be snobby. It just wasn't good. Okay. It's understandable. All right. It's like when I went to Thailand and I had pad Thai there, which isn't even really what Thai people eat, but it was so much better. Anyway, What am I saying? So I just want to apologize for KFC and McDonald's. I mean, I stopped at the rest stop twice, and I was like, we could be in Indiana right now. And I felt bad about that. Because the thing that makes places beautiful is the things that you can't get anywhere else. Like in Birmingham, we took a taxi about 20 minutes away to get curry, because Birmingham is very, very famous for their curry. And we went to this amazing Indian place. I don't remember the name of it, but it had pistachio cream curry. It had a list of about 12 different curries. And as an uneducated palate for Indian cuisine, I was dazzled. And the manager said we had exotic accents, quote unquote. They were really, really impressed that we were from so far away. So that made me feel excited too. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my trip, and the convention was awesome. Osric Chow was there from Supernatural, and we got to do photos together, and we did a really great panel together. He was real salty, which I thought was super funny, and it was the day after they announced the end of Supernatural. So I've realized that I have severe anxiety before I travel. I've kind of developed it because of the baby, because I did not have this before. And by the way, I'm reaching out and trying to get an actual psychiatrist to talk to about my mental health issues. Even though I feel a lot better now, I do believe I was going through some crazy hormonal stuff because of the baby and weaning her. So just shout out to all those moms who are trying to feed their children with your boobs. It doesn't get better until it gets better. I'm feeling so much better now, but I couldn't sleep on the plane or the first night I was there. And sleeplessness is not good for the soul. And I woke up at like 3 a.m. In Birmingham, and I just logged onto Twitter, and I saw the announcement that season 15 will be the last for Supernatural. And I started crying, you guys. I really did start crying. And it's been kind of weird because ever since that announcement, the last 2 weeks, I did that convention with Osric, so I had sort of a tie to Supernatural there, and the fans were so engaged and so wanting to talk about it. And then this last weekend, I went to Vegas and to the Supernatural convention, and I saw all the cast. I saw Jensen there. I saw Misha. I saw so many other people, Kim and Brianna, and it's a real family, you guys. It really is. And all the actors really know each other so well because we spend so much time with each other just at events and social things and conventions and stuff. And I don't know, it feels like this, everyone's accepted it, but it feels kind of like sad, like we're in hospice or something. And hopefully that will sort of like turn around when we see what the writers do for this next season. And I don't know if they'll ever bring Charlie back. They never call until like a couple weeks before we start shooting. But I can say that it would be cool. I would love it if they just had even one moment where what happens to Charlie, alternate Charlie, alternate universe Charlie. Because in my mind, she is Charlie. And give her maybe a path to happiness and fulfillment. That would be kind of nice. But it's been really emotional because Supernatural is like a family to me. I think I've talked about this before, but the first episode of Supernatural was my very first, it coincided with the release of Geek and Sundry. Like literally we launched on April 1st and this episode shot like March 13th. So I was leaving at the crunch time of launching my company, which I had been literally shooting video a day for the past 3 or 4 months. I can't imagine going through what I did before with Geek and Sundry to launch that company again. It was monumental, and we did such a great job. I'm so proud of it, but we all were just like burned at all ends. And the fact that I got the script and they requested for me to go and do this part in the middle of all of it was like, I can't do this. But I read the part and I was like, oh my God, this character it felt like it was written for me. And I think Robbie Thompson, the writer, like mentioned that he had me in mind for it, but Sarah Gamble, the showrunner, was like, well, let's try to get her. And that's the story I heard. If it's different, I'm sorry. But I can't tell you how blessed. And when I read it, I had to be that character. So I was like, I think this show's going to get canceled. It's on season 7. Buffy got canceled in 7. If I don't do this part now, I'm never going to work on this show, which is like one of the best genre shows in history. So surprise me, twice as long, more. It survived. But anyway, and I was only supposed to be a guest star. They did not say they would ever ask me back. So the fact that Charlie got brought back is because of you guys, the fans. Anybody who likes Charlie, thank you so much for expressing that like, because you gave her a life of her own. yeah, so it's been really kind of emotionally rough. Also, it's also coincided with Critical Role and their incredible success. So seeing that excitement in fans' eyes that there's something grassroots going on again is really gratifying to me. I mean, in retrospect, I kind of, I feel like I am one of those people who really needs to enjoy what she's doing in the moment, because I kind of didn't appreciate at the time like how much fulfillment I got from doing my own thing. And I've mentioned this a couple times in the podcast that no matter what awesome thing is handed to me from television or whatever, like it's the stuff that I make happen outside the system that really makes me happy. And I think, actually, in the meantime, since I talked to you guys last, another project of mine that I haven't been able to talk about has gotten announced. It's Freeform, used to be ABC Family, picked up is developing a show that I brought them based on the amazing graphic novel Woman World by Aminder Dhaliwal. And so she and I have been working on trying to set this up as a TV show, an animated show, for 7-8 months now, or more than that actually, since I think last June. And so finally we got to announce that we were starting to work on it, and we're going to just start working on it. So that was pretty exciting. Oh, there's a plane. That was exciting to announce, but we're just starting work on it. So if you guys, I would pick up the graphic novel if I were you, because you're not going to see the show for a very long time. Especially with animation, I'm learning that the production curve is like 2 years in advance, and I know that from personal, like just recording the voice, it'll be a year or more before that episode is ever out. And this doesn't even account, the development of it, the greenlight process, shooting a pilot. Basically we're going to work to develop what we want to do with the script, what Aminder wants to do with the network. Everybody has to kind of get on the same page. Then they'll allow her to write the script, and I'll work with her until we're ready to show it to the network. Then we'll get their notes. And after several iterations of that, they kind of consider if they want to pick it up as a show or not. And then you would go into shooting the pilot. And then the pilot would get shot, which would take many, many months, and finished. And then they would look at that finished pilot and see if they had feedback. And then based on that, then they pick it up to series or not. And it's basic cable, so it's a little slower than like a network TV show, which again, that still takes about a year to make. So I'm signing up for the long haul, but it's kind of what I've been aiming to do for the past 3 years since I kind of stepped away from Geek and Sundry. And so it's hard for me because I was kind of trained on an immediate gratification, like let's shoot and put it up tomorrow kind of thing. And so it's kind of taught me that, these are amazing victories that take so much work and so much support and so much coordination. I need to do little things too so I don't go crazy. So that's why I do this. That's why I stream every week. That's why I hang out on my Discord, So yeah, I'm still learning that balance about what makes me happy. And underneath it all, I'm not sure if I'll ever find that. Anyway, so it was a great couple weeks. And I'm really happy to have met a bunch of you. The Right Partner, Sarah the Pearl. Oh my gosh, so many people who listen to this podcast. Thanks for expressing your love for it and other projects I do. Just a shout out before we get too deep into the questions and stuff. I want to say if you are in Los Angeles this week, please come to our Sunday live show. It is at the Improv in Hollywood, and we're doing a live show of Voyage to the Stars, which is my scripted sci-fi comedy podcast. The episodes really crack me up, y'all. And I really hope you're enjoying them as much. I know it's really hard to keep up with all the stuff that we're kind of thrown at us each day. I just took like 3 days out to watch a bunch of TV shows. And I was like, how am I going to finish all these? I can only watch 2 episodes and abandon it for another one. So I know that your time and your ear holes are precious. And thanks for listening to anything. I love this project so much. I really believe in it. And it's something I would be a fan of if I weren't in it. Which is kind of my modus operandi. So check it out. And if you're in LA, come on down and listen to us. I think it's going to be funny. So this week in consumption, I was actually trying to buckle down on my writing a lot. So a lot of my free time was writing and or traveling and or being extremely tired. And I noticed a direct link between my fatigue level and my lack of good sleep, quote unquote, and my depression level, which is kind of cool. I was trying to I told you guys I got like a Xanax prescription, and I don't really enjoy taking it, but at the same time, I am having such panic attacks in the middle of the night. My heart is pounding so hard when I wake up at 3 a.m. I actually thought I was like seriously need to go to the doctor. Classic panic attack. And it wasn't like I'm ruminating over things, which I usually do. Like I will literally play something over in my mind, like some injustice or something I need to do, and that will keep me up. It's not even that. I was having like terrible dreams. And so things are settling out now, but I think travel does trigger me in a way that I didn't really appreciate. And so I'm going to start working aggressively on my issues because I'm just letting things that are treatable get in the way of my happiness and my productivity and my creativity. And that's not good for anybody. So that's just my lesson this week. And I hope you guys can take something away from that. If you're going through some things yourself, being proactive is scary. Like I did 15 phone calls this week and every single one is torture. Picking up the phone is torture. And yet when I did them, I ended like, it was after 2 hours and I was like, well, that wasn't that bad. So I think we build things up in our mind, and the longer we don't do them, they just get heavier and heavier. And yes, you need to get a dental cleaning. Just do it, Felicia. And so, yeah, it was a good lesson. I'm just really, even though my resistance is really strong, every time I just bust through a wall that I'm resistant to, and I think it's because I'm afraid of what will happen. I'm afraid of it leading to another step that I then have to follow up on, or I'm afraid of it leading to confrontation, or I'm afraid of it leading to an unknown period where I feel in flux and I don't know exactly what's happening, but I need to take the step, but I don't because I'm scared. And all these things are always going through my mind as a person. And so whenever I can just be my own parent and be like, okay, I see what you're feeling. It's okay to feel that, but you're being stuck in this feeling isn't helping anyone. Just move. And if you make the wrong move, that's okay. At least you're moving. And so that's what I've kind of like set my April mind to. I read a couple of really great books, though, y'all. I read a couple books about a woman named Elizabeth Van Lew, and she was a Southern Belle spy. She lived in Virginia, I believe. I read these a couple weeks ago, but she was this incredible, like, Southern Belle, kind of spinster woman who basically planted spies in, like, Jefferson Davis's house, and she had her slaves were really emancipated, but they were secretly emancipated, so they worked together to try to gather evidence. They actually turned the tide of the war, which is incredible. Really awesome woman, and I highly recommend just even Googling her name. There's a lot of really cool stories from the Civil War, and I'm kind of like getting fixated. I need to find a podcast on the Civil War because podcasts are where I really thrive. I think I've mentioned Revolutions podcast, which got me really into the French Revolution. And so this one is kind of my next phase of my new war obsession. I also read a great book. So this imprint Peer Books sends me free books all the time. And I can't read them all. But some of them, I'll just pick up randomly. I picked up a random book called The Last Son by Katie Edwards. I will go on record saying I do not like this cover. I will go on record saying that I don't like the blurb on the back. I don't think it's a good blurb for the book. And I don't like the cover. It reads too fantasy and weird, and I don't understand it. And it has a lot of profanity. And trigger warning, it does have sexual assault in it. But it is a gay male fantasy that is so well done. There are so many interesting characters, male characters, almost all of them are men. But it deals with sexuality, male sexuality in a way that I personally didn't have a lot of insight into, and I really, really appreciate it. And it had a lot of heart and love in it. It wasn't just about sex. There's only one kind of not even explicit, like sex scene in it. But overall, it was really fascinating, and the world building is very interesting. It's like about tarot and Atlantis, and I promise you look at the blurb and you're like, this is weird. I promise you there's a really cool urban fantasy with a lot of profanity in here underneath, and I cannot wait for the next book. And the next cover looks better too. Those are the two books I read. This week I have 3 books on my docket. If I get to one, that'd be great. I want to read the Charlie Jane Anders City in the Middle of the Night. That is still on my Kindle. One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. That's a sequel to the 3 Crowns, I believe, that I read a couple weeks ago. I really want to read that. And I downloaded a nonfiction book called The Discovery of France by Graham Robb, which is, I guess it's essentially a history of France. A historical geography, they call it. I'm reading that off the thing. Anyway, I just want to read nonfiction because when I read really good fiction, I can't sleep at night because of my anxiety. It's just, once it starts, it will not stop. It's like a train. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm also playing Cultist Simulator on the iPhone. Finally, there's a port. If you like complicated card games you can't figure it out that don't have instructions, go ahead and give it a whirl. I'm going to start streaming either Lara Croft or this new dungeon crawler called Operencia this weekend. So tune in to my Twitch channel. I might actually, I don't know. I haven't decided which one. I really love dungeon crawlers, but I love Lara Croft. We might as well just jump on in. All right, I'm going to answer a couple questions before I wrap up. This is great. I had more to talk about than I thought. Whenever I talked about my mental health, I could talk way longer than I thought I could. Okay, Margaret Schwab asks, do you have a must-read book list just starting Felicitations on 9? I love it. Or do you have an Amazon list? Margaret, an Amazon list is a great idea. I have an Amazon storefront called, it's amazon.com/shop/Felicia Day. It has all baby and kid stuff in there now. But I will, that's a good idea. I should create a shelf with all the books that I mention here. Sean Sandalooky actually did a felicitations.fandom.com page where you can look at all the things that I mention in all of these as well. I do also need to update my Goodreads. So these are all on the list. I also want to do that newsletter. I'm actually feeling mentally okay and in a growth period. I feel like the last 6 months, ever since October, when I really started weaning this baby, everything kind of stems from that weaning and the thyroid medicine, guys. Before that, I've been really in a rut, and it's been a sad, sad rut. And I could see a little crack of light, and it's because I was proactive in getting help. And so I don't want to emphasize that more. So next question by DBS Dave, BS80 on Twitter. I remembered you talking about your Instant Pot a couple of episodes on your podcast, but did you ever post recipes? Well, Dave, I did not post any recipes. I'm not a chef by any means. The only thing I'm proud of is that when I sculpt weird things in cake tops, like, murder elves and things like that. But I can say that the Kitchen blog, KITCHN blog, is a place where I find a lot of suggestions. They have really good compilations of other blogs, like best chicken dishes. And I really think it's a nice layout, and it doesn't feel like they're shoving ads in your face like a lot of like cooking and women-oriented blogs are. Why are they the worst? Things about babies too. It's like they're an old people. It feels like they're aiming at people who don't know the web, and they're just going to shove as many boring, terrible, obnoxious pop-ups in your face as possible. Kitchen does not do that, so I would recommend that as a blog. And Serious Eats. Those are the two main places. Unsmitten Kitchen, but I've already mentioned that before. Those are the 3 places I get recipes online. And if you really love Instant Pots, there is a author called Melissa Clark who did Comfort in an Instant. And she also has a different book, also I can't remember the name of. Hers are the best. I have a lot of Instant Pot books. Those are the best recipes. They're so delicious. Her broth recipe is the one I use. I love it. It's like adding ginger is like the ticket. And I recommend her books. So if you're going to invest in one book, I would recommend that one. Amber, on the kitchen front, Amber Laprelle asks, I love your kitchen. What kind of tile is on the floor? Did you redo your kitchen or you buy your house because of the kitchen? I want it in my house. Okay. Well, Amber, I moved into this house like 12 years ago. Very, 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 very long time ago. It was close to just a couple years after I moved to LA. And it was a dump. We had to redo this house from the ground up. And I redid the kitchen at the time architecturally, but I didn't really have any money to do good things with the kitchen. So I kind of just put linoleum and kind of cheap cabinets in. Right before the baby, I decided, oh my God, I need a new kitchen for this baby stat. So I had saved up a long time and I was like, gut it. So I redid the cabinets actually because it was too expensive to like get custom cabinets. That is like a fortune. But they turned out really good, and I posted some pictures online. My friend, who is a designer, helped me kind of pick out the colors. I went from like a yellow and green kitchen to a gray and blue and white kitchen, which I love. It's so calming, and the whole goal was to get those tiles in there. So I'm in love with Barcelona. If you're familiar with that, I am obsessed with Spanish culture and Spanish tile. And I just wanted my house to look like a Barcelona restaurant. So I picked those tiles out. And, honestly, they're not that much more expensive than any other tiles. They do need to be sealed yearly. And they are very tall. So you kind of have to gauge for that. I had to put a ramp into the kitchen that's like an inch to really support those tiles. They're heavy, so you might have to put some structural things underneath. So it can be a little bit more expensive, but they're so beautiful. And, you know, a lot of people criticize them because they're super hard. Yes, they're hard, but also they stain a little bit, but that's the charm, you know. And I haven't had anything that's like so terrible. I mean, I spilled cranberry juice on there and, you know, nothing. There's some dots, but that patina is what makes it feel like real. So I would just look concrete tiles up online, and you can get them varying prices. You can get custom colors. You can get all sorts of patterns, crazy modern ones now, and old traditional ones, and all sorts of colors. And I love it so much. You know, it's a statement. A lot of people are like, don't make such a statement in your house. I'm like, if you can't make a statement in your house, where can you make a statement? You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Amber. Let's see. Christopher Long asks, hey, Felicia Day, just wondering, after you finish a creative project, do you celebrate? If so, how? Christopher, I used to buy myself a designer purse under like $400, you know, like a Marc Jacobs like knockoff or whatever. I don't do that anymore. I have a child. So I take myself out to dinner, or I'll buy myself a shirt or something. I do treat myself because, guys, however big or small, you have to celebrate your victories in this life. We get so few, right? And so I know a lot of us are just like have an engine inside us that don't let us be satisfied, or we're always looking backwards or forwards, you know, but really planting yourself in the moment and appreciating a victory is a gift to yourself that will last forever. Because then you're going to be easier on yourself in general. I think that's why doing a gratitude list at the end of the day, like 3 things you did really well before you go to sleep, is really smart, because you're reminding yourself that you used your time wisely and you deserve to be appreciated for that. A lot of the times we go to sleep and just are thinking about the things we didn't do, or the things we have to do tomorrow that we don't want to do. I know I do that all the time. And my whole goal in life now is to reduce my anxiety before sleeping. And so any little thing I can do to appreciate myself more calms down my anxiety. And it's like, it's going to be okay. You did good today. Okay. Last question. Oh, Bloody Albatross. Hey, it was so good to see so many Team Human people at Birmingham. You guys are so fun. I stopped by, they had a little meetup, and I was so tired because I hadn't slept in 2 days that I didn't play board games with them, but they were playing Cards Against Humanity. And we learned from my convention agent, Stephanie, that there is insurance that you can get for $300 a year, that if you die in a foreign country, you can ship your body back. Oh, sirens. Oh, was that weird to mention while I was talking about dead people? No, for real. And that was the whole point of discussion during the Team Human meetup, because Stephanie, she says, basically, the facts are that to get your body home after you die in a foreign land, it can cost up to like $10,000. Why not just get insurance to cover that? Also, you can get an upgrade so that if you get sick or incapacitated, like you're in a coma or something, they will transport your body back to the States so that you can get treatment at home, versus like if you're in a foreign country. It just makes sense, y'all. Right? Is this weird? Is it paranoid? It feels paranoid to me, but it feels like something I need. I don't know. Look it up. Okay. Bloody Albatross asks, what's your writing process? Do you make an outline first and then recursively fill in details? Do you write linearly from start to end? How many revisions do you have to do? And if it's commissioned, how much back and forth is there? So everybody's different. I know Pat Rothfuss just starts writing. I know some people who literally outline for years. Everybody, and this is the thing that I've learned. You can't just take somebody else's method and do it. You have to literally do it and try everything. It's an experiment. Your creative process is a constant experiment to learn how you work best. And so I know I've been stuck for years because I just wasn't brave enough to experiment. And so for me, sometimes I just have to start like stream of consciousness writing in the voice of a character. That's what I did with the guild. That's what I did with some of my best characters, I think, is that really get in the head of the voice of the character that I'm writing. And then I'll get to know them a little bit better and see where their weaknesses are, where their strengths, and where I'm going to put them to make them shine in a good and bad light. And so I have a sloppy, terrible process. I write like 50% more than I have to, and then I have to go back in and cut. But I have to write like that in order to do it. I noticed if I constipate myself and try to like write short or write perfect, I'll never get through something. Today, I actually got through a project because I was like, just write everything you want. It's like 40% too long. It's fine. It's fine. I'll fix it later. It's fine. So that's just my process. Outlining is really, really important because you'll never know what your project is until you know the ending. Your ending is everything you aim for. Never start without an idea of the ending. I think that's the best lesson that I've ever had. And don't start rewriting until you get to the end because you never know how to rewrite the beginning until you've gotten to the end anyway. That's another piece of advice that sometimes I ignore that's always the most valuable. I think outlining is great. It's good to know just like loose beats. It's really great to look at character arcs because if nobody cares about your character, they're not going to care about how great your world building or your plot is. You need a strong character problem that your character solves by the end to make people care about your character. It's just like people. We don't care about somebody who's running around a plot. We care about their emotional well-being and their relationships that they're trying to repair, right? So I would recommend if you're doing a book, there's like a snowflake method, which I think an author coined. I just read one blog entry on it and kind of made it very clear in my mind that you just want to start from a very top level. You want to start very general and then just kind of get, beginning, middle, end. And then you get a little more specific, a little bit deeper. And then you get more deep and more deep and more deep until, a lot of Hollywood things you have to do an outline. It's like a 19-page outline for an hour, 64-page script. So you literally putting dialogue in the outline. And I used to think that was a waste of time. Why don't you just let me write the script? But writing it in prose actually helps you do the dialogue in a more realistic way and helps you kind of avoid pitfalls that you might fall into. I would recommend if you really want to do writing, especially screenwriting, John August has an amazing podcast. It's called Script Notes. And really, it's just the most intelligent podcast you can get writing advice from. If you want to be a writer, start writing, but also, you can getting into a situation where you're kind of supported by other people, whether online or in-person class or just picking up a book and following that method. Having a guide is really, really important because we could wander around for years and never get anywhere. But unless we really have someone to put our feet to the fire, it's really hard to see things through. Okay. You know what? That's a lot of questions, and I have to go watch my baby now. So I would appreciate it if you guys could review Felicitations on iTunes. Again, I am on a summer push to find a network, so I would love to be able to interview people on here, but I need to have a network and a partner for that. So your reviews and your downloads really help, and spread word about if you like me talking. I will see some of you in Paris at the end of April, but until then, I will be in town. So come to LA on the 7th to see Voyage to the Stars, and I will see you guys on my Discord, discord.gg/Felicia Day. All right, bye! What was that?